I felt something was off the moment the elevator doors closed that night. The office hallway, normally filled with the team's chatter, was strangely silent. Only the faint smell of coffee lingered in the air, and the hum of the air conditioner echoed through the dark room. Then I saw it, a small, lonely silhouette crouched near the window. As I walked closer, I realized it was Min-jung, quietly wiping tears from her cheeks. The same woman who always stood tall, who never let anyone see her shaken, was now trembling, trying to hold herself together. I froze. What was I supposed to say? Would speaking make things worse? 100 thoughts raced through my mind in a split second. But then, without planning it, the words slipped out of my mouth. If it's too much, it's okay to step back and breathe for a moment. The moment I said it, even I was surprised. I didn't know I had that kind of softness in me. She didn't lift her head, but I saw her shoulders tremble, just slightly, as if the wall she'd been holding up finally cracked. My chest tightened. Why was I reacting this strongly to her tears? Why did her silence shake me this much? No matter how hard I tried to stay detached, my feelings betrayed me, and what I didn't know then was this: that tiny moment in the quiet office, that simple kindness, would explode the next day into rumors powerful enough to shake the entire team. The next morning, the atmosphere in the office felt strangely sharp, like everyone knew something I didn't. Whispers floated between desks, short glances flicked toward me and then away, the kind of looks people give when they think they've discovered a secret. At first, I ignored it, but then I overheard someone near the copier whisper, "Did you hear? Kim, Manager and Min-jung, something happened last night." I froze mid-step. Another voice joined in almost immediately. I knew it, the way she looks at him sometimes, totally obvious. Obvious? To who? I felt a strange mix of embarrassment and irritation tightening inside my chest. It was one small moment of kindness, nothing more, nothing less. But to them, it was already a half-written romance scandal. When I reached my desk, I noticed Min-jung keeping her distance from me. Normally she'd greet me with a short nod or a quiet good morning, but today, she didn't even look in my direction. Her shoulders were tense, her steps quicker than usual, as if simply standing near me might set off another wave of rumors. I wanted to say something, clarify, reassure, explain, but the words stayed stuck in my throat. That's the thing about rumors, they don't need facts, they just need someone to hurt, and that morning, they were hurting both of us. The rumors were still buzzing when the real disaster hit. Just before lunch, my phone vibrated with an urgent message from the team leader. "Emergency, conference room 3, now." I hurried inside, only to find the room tense, screens frozen, documents mismatched, and the overseas headquarters waiting on the other end of a failed video call. The team leader glared at me as if this entire mess were personally crafted by my hands. "Kim, Manager," he snapped, "you were in charge of yesterday's file integration. Explain this." The truth was simple. The system had glitched. Anyone could see that, but no one in the room said a word. Silence pressed down like a weight as the team leader waited for me to crumble. Just as I opened my mouth to respond, a voice cut through the tension. It wasn't his fault. I turned. It was Min-jung. She stepped forward, her voice steady, her eyes sharp with a quiet defiance I hadn't seen before. "The server crashed at 1143 p.m. The logs show it clearly. He couldn't have caused it." The room shifted. A few people glanced at each other. The team leader's expression flickered annoyance, then hesitation. I felt something tighten in my chest. It wasn't just gratitude. It was the realization that she had stepped into the line of fire. For me, she didn't have to. No one expected her to. Rumors were already making her life harder. Getting involved could only make it worse. But she still chose to speak up. In that moment, I understood something I hadn't allowed myself to admit before. We weren't just colleagues dealing with misunderstandings. We were becoming connected, in a way neither of us fully understood yet. The crisis finally settled by late evening, but the exhaustion lingered like a heavy shadow over the office. Most employees had already gone home, Only a few monitors still glowed in the dark, and among them, Min-jung, silently typing, pretending she didn't notice me nearby. I cleared my throat and held out a paper cup. "Coffee," I said. "You haven't had anything since lunch." She hesitated for a moment, but then quietly took it, wrapping her cold fingers around the warm cup. For a few seconds, we stood there, just the two of us in a near-empty office, the world outside reduced to the soft hum of the city below. She finally spoke, her voice low. "I hate when I look weak." She didn't look at me. Her eyes stayed fixed on the steam rising from her cup. "I work twice as hard as everyone else, but the moment something goes wrong," her voice wavered, "I feel like I'm proving them right, that I'm fragile." I didn't interrupt. I didn't give her empty advice. Instead, I quietly refilled her coffee, letting the warmth replace the trembling in her hands, and then I said the only thing that felt true. Strong people aren't the ones who never break. They're the ones brave enough to show it when they do. It wasn't poetic, it wasn't rehearsed, but something in the way she slowly looked up at me, as if she was seeing me clearly for the first time, made the entire room feel too small. For a moment, neither of us moved, neither of us broke the silence, and the longer it stretched, the more dangerous it felt. Not inappropriate, not wrong, just dangerous because it was honest. She finally stepped back and whispered, "We should probably go home." I nodded, but even as we walked toward the elevator, the air between us was still trembling with everything we didn't say. The next morning, the air in the office felt colder than usual, as if someone had opened a window overnight and forgotten to close it. I barely placed my bag on my desk when I heard my name, "Kim, manager, conference room 2. Now." The team leader's voice was sharp, clipped, the kind that warned you something unpleasant was waiting on the other side of that door. Inside, only 2 chairs were set out, one for me, one already occupied by Min-jung. She didn't look at me, her eyes were fixed on the table, hands clenched tightly in her lap. The team leader wasted no time. "There are rumors circulating," he said, "rumors that compromise professionalism. Rumors involving the two of you." My stomach dropped. He slid a printed report across the table. "Anonymous complaints, vague comments, speculation disguised as fact. If this continues," he added, "HR may initiate a formal investigation." Min-jung finally looked up, and in her eyes, I saw something I hadn't seen before. Fear, not of him, of being associated with me. "Sir, we didn't," she began. But the team leader cut her off. "Intent doesn't matter. Perception does." The room went silent. For the first time since all of this began, I felt a cold distance forming between us, sharp, sudden, and painful. When we left the room, she walked ahead of me, her steps fast, almost frantic. I wanted to call her name. I wanted to tell her she had nothing to apologize for, that she did nothing wrong, but the way she avoided my eyes made it clear. She thought she had ruined my life, and I couldn't find the words to stop her from thinking that. I spent the rest of the day trying to reach her, but every time I approached, Min-jung stepped back, as if being near me might make everything worse. By late afternoon, the HR department requested both of us to submit statements regarding the rumors. I sat alone in a small meeting room, the form glowing on the screen in front of me. I read each question slowly. Each one felt like a blade aimed at her, suggesting impropriety, bias, favoritism, and I knew one thing clearly: if she got involved in this, her career would take a hit she didn't deserve. So I did the only thing that felt right. I wrote the statement in a way that put every questionable decision, every late-night meeting, every interaction, entirely on me. I made myself the problem, not her. No one would know, no one would question it, she would be safe. When I hit submit, a strange heaviness settled in my chest, not regret, not guilt, but something deeper, something like acceptance. A few minutes later, the door opened. It was Min-jung. Her eyes were red, as if she had been crying somewhere no one could see. "You submitted it already?" Her voice cracked. I nodded. "Yeah." She stepped closer, her breathing unsteady. Why would you take the blame? Why would you risk your career for something that wasn't your fault? I looked at her, and for once, I didn't try to hide anything, because sometimes, when someone matters to you, you don't think about the consequences. Her eyes widened, just slightly, as if she finally understood the thing I had been trying so hard to ignore myself. But before either of us could speak again, my phone buzzed loudly on the table. I looked down. Incoming call, HR Director, Global Headquarters. My heart dropped. This wasn't a routine call, not from them, not at this hour. As the phone continued to vibrate, Min-jung whispered, "What's going to happen now?" I didn't answer, because I didn't know. The episode ends there, with the screen fading out, and the phone still ringing.